So, Rich, first of all, just tell us, there's clearly a lot going on where you are right now. Tell us what's going on right now.
Yes, good morning, Jennifer. A lot going on here. There are some reports that say around 100,000 people are on the streets of central London. And I have to be honest, it feels that way. Even just getting to the spot where I'm talking to you now, just a few metres down from Oxford Circus, for those listeners of yours who know London, it's packed here. There's people walking, waving placards. I've spoken to a few people since I've been out, and a lot of people very unhappy that President Trump is here in the UK, and they want their voices heard about that.
And specifically, what are they expressing their unhappiness about with President Trump?
Well, that's an interesting one, Jennifer, because previously when people in the UK protest something the US has done, it's usually US foreign policy. So the two big ones, Vietnam and Iraq, they drew tens of thousands of people onto the streets. But people here aren't happy with the way President Trump is managing things within his own country. Now, they are angry about certain foreign policy issues, for example, the move of the embassy to Jerusalem not that long ago, but people unhappy about the separation of children at the border, people unhappy about abortion laws, people unhappy about the treatment of LGBT people, and people here saying, America is one of our allies. We respect the office of president. We just don't respect the person who currently holds that office, and we're not happy that he's been so warmly invited to visit the United Kingdom.
And who actually extended that invitation? Because I recall that President Trump previously had said he was going to go visit, then pulled out of that trip. Who invited him for this particular visit, and why?
Well, you may remember British Prime Minister Theresa May was the first foreign leader to visit President Trump in the White House after he took office, and she gave him a formal invitation for a state visit. Now, that is a visit hosted by the Queen, and that prompted over 1.5 million signatures of British people petitioning the government for them to withdraw that invitation. Now, this is not a state visit because it's not been hosted by the Queen, and you may remember President Trump was also previously expected to be here to open the new US embassy, but he cancelled that trip, saying he wasn't a fan of the new US embassy. So the British government said they still wanted President Trump to come here, and he arrived last night, and since he's arrived he's had dinner with the Prime Minister at Blenheim Palace, which incidentally was the birthplace of Winston Churchill. He'll have a bilateral meeting with Theresa May. He'll also be having tea with the Queen while he's here, and then he'll be going up to Scotland to play golf on his golf courses up there.
So, Rich, they're protesters. There's the famous balloon of the president looking like a baby, made to look like a baby. There are all of these meetings. Tell us sort of, what does all of this mean in the grand scheme of things as far as U.S.-British relations are concerned?
Honestly, it doesn't mean a lot. We will, I'm sure, continue to be allies of the US. And in fact, one crucial thing you have to remember is that Britain is in the middle of transitioning through that Brexit period where we leave the European Union. And as we do so, when we leave those European trade relations, one of the organisations and countries we'll be looking to trade with will be the United States. So I don't doubt that when Theresa May and President Trump meet, they will be discussing how the US and UK can continue to work together. And of course this comes off the back of the NATO summit, of which both Britain and America are members. So I don't imagine it will dent the US-UK relationship, and I don't think people here expect it to. I just think they want to make their voices loud and want their voices to be heard by the British government that they're not happy with certain actions that President Trump takes.
Well, and Rich, you mentioned Brexit. President Trump created some controversy. He did an interview with the newspaper The Sun and criticized Theresa May for handling a Brexit and said she didn't listen to my President Trump's advice about it. She should have handled it the way I advised her to handle it. What kind of response is that interview getting?
Well, actually, President Trump recently spoke with Theresa May to the press and said basically that the Sun newspaper had twisted his words and that it was fake news, and the two leaders reiterated again the close working relationship they have, the mutual respect they have for each other, and I'm sure they will continue to talk about Brexit and trade links moving forward.
Rich Preston with the BBC, with protesters in London as President Trump continues his visit there. Rich, thank you so much for your time today.
Good to talk to you, Jennifer. Thank you.